Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa. Wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Welcome back to day 20 of the Vara Spirituality Bites. Subhanallah, we are at that milestone where this is the 20th fast of Ramadan, which means that after Maghrib, in about 24 minutes, at least in Atlanta, it will be the 21st night, which is the first odd night of the last 10 days of Ramadan. These are some of the most important and virtuous nights of the year, and I make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us all the tawfiq to make the best use of them. May He save this fool from wasting his time. May He save all of us from wasting our time on things that are not productive for our dunya and akhirah. May He allow us to worship Him in a manner that is according to the sunnah of His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May He allow us to take full benefit from these next few days. This is indeed the best part of Ramadan. This is the sprint towards the finish line, which is waiting for us at the other end. If you have desires to perform certain tasks around the house, you have certain hobbies or things that have been on the back burner, this is not the time to start trying to do them. Keep them on the back burner. Inshallah, there will be a lot of time in the rest of the year. And I wanted to mention one very important thing, which is that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the virtue of Laylatul Qadr. And it was ingrained in the Sahaba's mind how great this night was. And it's even in the Quran. Soon people will start reciting this surah in their salawat. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر. Surah Al-Qadr. And over there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions خير من ألف شهر. It's better than 1,000 months. So when Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha found out about this, she asked a very beautiful question, which is that, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what should I do if I find this night? What should I do? Right? May Allah bless her tremendously for helping the ummah in this way. She asked not only for herself, but so that fools like us can benefit, 1400 years later. So the Prophet ﷺ told her to make this dua. Allahumma innaka afoon tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Allahumma innaka afoon tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. We should make sure that we make this dua every night until Eid. And we can make this dua afterwards too. It's not necessarily restricted to Laylatul Qadr, but this is dua that the Prophet ﷺ recommended that we make when we are trying to look for Laylatul Qadr. And the ulama mentioned that there's a high probability of this night falling within the last 10 nights of Ramadan, especially the odd nights, and then with increasing probability on the 25th, 27th, 29th, etc. So may Allah Ta'ala allow us all to attain this night. And one easy way to attain the worship of this night is simply to make sure that we wake up a little bit early and we pray, even if it's a little 2 short rak'ahs. before the suhoor ends, which is essentially at the time of tahajjud, and we should make this dua. If no other dua, at least just make this one dua. Right? And obviously, since we're praying at night in the Taraweeh, etc., that's also counting in Laylatul Qadr itself. So essentially, if you just do what you're supposed to do, you will get it. Right? And we should also make sure that we clean our hearts, etc. And as the night gets closer to the 27th, perhaps I'll try to talk about some details about what we should do in particular. So we left off last time talking about some of the harms of being public, leading a public life, right? Essentially, voluntarily making our lives public to the world, which is something that almost everybody is doing nowadays with all these social media platforms and sharing of pictures and videos and chats and all these things. We're essentially making our lives very public. And I mentioned that this is something that is very detrimental to spiritual health and mental health as well. In fact, so much so that Facebook and Instagram and perhaps other social media platforms will follow are thinking of removing the like feature from their platforms because they've determined that it's so detrimental to the user's health, right? Looking at the likes and the dislikes and wondering why people dislike them. And in fact, they don't have to wonder. People leave nasty comments all the time in the comment section, things that you would never say to a person in person, right? To their face. People feel empowered to say it to them when it's over the medium of the internet, unfortunately. So I thought today we would talk a bit more about the harms of social media in general. And before I move on, I wanted to mention that this idea of being public, right, having our lives being completely public and transparent to the public is a pressure, a burden that only the prophets can bear. And the prophets did bear. And that too, it wasn't easy, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned to his Sahaba that "Ballighu anni walau ayah," right? That convey anything from me, right? Even if it's one ayah, anything that you see me do, say, or not do, or stop anyone from doing, the way I sat, the way I walked, the way I did, the way I talked, anything and everything, convey it, because my life is that perfect. My life can withstand that kind of scrutiny. Even till today, people, I mean, the Orientalists, they will try to find any excuse to criticize our beloved Prophet ﷺ, but it's very hard, right? And the kind of objections that they raise are just crazy, right? Only a crazy person could raise any objection to anything that the Prophet ﷺ did. Why? Because everything that he did was divinely inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. He doesn't speak except that it's revelation. In huwa illa wahyun yuha. It's something that's been inspired to him to do and to say. So let's move on to some of the further things that we discussed in regarding social media. And this is going to be a very kind of confessional almost slide. I was debating doing this or not because it kind of feels a bit like it's exposing things about myself that perhaps, maybe shouldn't be. I'm not a very public person, but I thought I'd just share these things, which are my own personal experiences doing these viral spirituality bites. So meta viral spirituality bites, those of us that are into computers like me, will enjoy that. Confessions of a reluctant YouTuber. That would be yours truly. So how did the viral spirituality bite start? So before Ramadan, the beloved Imam of this masjid, Mufti Afsar Ali, he requested this humble slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to start a series for this Ramadan, as we would be performing Ramadan at home. And he gave me two options. He said it can either be a Zoom meeting or a live YouTube stream. I didn't really have a choice of doing it like an audio. Although if I pushed him, perhaps I could. So I kind of, he said, actually, don't do the Zoom meeting because then, people join and they can bring background noise and this and that. And then it will also be on YouTube later, saved, instead of like a Zoom meeting, which the recording is kept private. If there's any recording, the YouTube will be on you, remain on YouTube for people to benefit from later on, inshallah. So I didn't really fight him on it. So this is how the series was born. And I decided to name it the Viral Spirituality Bites. A bit kind of a strange name, but the idea of the viral obviously has a twofold kind of meaning, which is that I hope that it goes viral. Number two, we're in the midst of this viral pandemic. Spirituality, because it's a bit pretentious, because I'm hoping that it's spiritual, whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only knows how spiritual it is. And then bites, because I want them to be bite-sized chunks, nothing long. I mean, we have a very hard time holding our attention span for more than 10, 15, 20 minutes. So the idea was that this would be something short. So I had this debate of, should I, since it's on YouTube, right, and it's a platform given to video, should I make use of the video ability? I mean, I could have just had like a splash screen and just my voice on the back, but I decided to kind of make it more of a visually appealing idea with PowerPoint, and even this humble slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's face showing, and there's a bit of a debate behind that, to say many of the ulama in the past, they were very wary of doing video, right? You'll see even till today some of the ulama, they only keep to audio. And I understand that as well. And I had kept to audio only until recently. And this is the first delving into video. But then I realized that people need some sort of visual stimulation where to hold their attention, right? I mean, even I find myself that I like it when the scholar posts a video of themselves instead of just an audio, even though the video doesn't really add anything, right? I mean, you don't really get any more extra information by seeing the scholar per se. And you could argue that potentially by seeing the PowerPoint, you get to actually see the wordings of the hadith or the ayat, which is beneficial. And perhaps you can look at them later as well. So I understand that part. But the video part, you don't really get anything out of seeing the speaker, right? There's no extra information there. But I find myself, because I'm weak and I'm kind of part of this milieu of looking at videos of everything. We live in the YouTube age. So I find myself that I like those videos better than just audios. And might as well make use of the platform. And it seemed that more and more ulama were traditional ulama were starting to make videos as well. Especially with this pandemic, many of them were also doing Zoom meetings and turning on their video. So I decided to do the same. So what did I find from doing this? And so number one, it made me much more self-conscious. Oh, is my beard trimmed okay? And then I actually noticed, subhanAllah, because the lighting and all these things, it's like a bump in my nose. Wow, I never noticed that before, right? So it's like, okay, maybe I should try to change the lighting so it doesn't look so weird. But why am I doing this? Oh, so that I can look better to the people. But wait, the people don't matter. I thought we were talking about sincerity, right? And this kind of internal debates keep raging on, right? So I became more self-conscious of myself. And number two, I started becoming tempted to check the views, the likes, the dislikes, because obviously YouTube posts this information. And I would like to know, like, how many people viewed the video? How many people liked it? How many people disliked it? Why did they dislike it? Right? So I'm kind of at the mercy now, right, of people liking and disliking the videos. Why do I care? I never really cared about it so much in the past. So this is something that comes with the turf, right? It requires a sort of mental toughness and ability to take on that burden that comes with these things, making it more public. So the question always comes up in my mind, is the benefit, the quote unquote benefit of the video and the slides worth it, right? This mental burden, it gets stressful, right? Doing a live stream is even more stressful than like posting a recording. You can edit the recording later, right? The live stream, it's live. And it's like when you go live, it's like uh, there's no stopping it. Uh, so there's an extra stress that's out there, and these are essentially the stresses um, of social media. And this is why I wanted to talk about it today, um, in this context. Kind of from my own personal point of view as well. So when we're talking about social media and looking at pictures of things and people and their lives, uh, one of the things that happens, let me just jump to this slide, the summary and the harms of social media. Number one, it causes pride or jealousy when you see other people's lives, right? So, for example, if you look at someone's pictures about their fancy new car, let's say they bought like I don't know, a new Toyota Camry, and they're posting pictures about their, mashallah, brand new Toyota Camry. Okay, SE is still better, right? Uh, on their Facebook, if you have like a nice, Tesla Cybertruck, you're thinking, huh, my car's better than his or her, right? So you're getting pride when you see other people's possessions and lives and things. On the other hand, if he has a better car than you become jealous. What? He didn't even get a master's. I got a master's. How come he has a Lamborghini now and I only have like a Cybertruck? You get jealous. How dare he get ahead of me? Well, I hope he loses it. I hope Allah makes him lose it. I hope he gets into an accident. And these are the things that, it sounds funny, right? Like who thinks like that? But these are the things that cause people to do these strange things like magic and black magic and another and these kind of things. This is what causes people to get into that mental zone, right, of saying, oh, how dare they get ahead of me, I need to do something to pull them back, right? So this is something very dangerous that we do when we expose our lives on social media and we actually go about looking at other people's things. Number two, it causes one to become ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because look, when people are posting the things, choosing the things that they want to post, right, they're very selective about the things that they post on social media. Right? If I just had a huge mess in my house, right, and the kids have, thrown ketchup everywhere and there's like writing on the wall and clothes are strewn everywhere. I mean, who has a house like that, right? So I'm not going to post a picture of that on social media, right? I'm going to post a picture of my house when it looks spick and span. I'm going to post a picture of myself when I look my best, when I'm wearing my best clothes, when I'm, presenting at some big meeting, right? So that people, when I'm at the Kaaba, when I'm at the Rauda, I'm going to present the best parts of my life. And now what happens is when I do that, I'm looking at points number 2 and 3. It creates a false sense of reality when people, that's all people are looking at. They're looking at just the selected best parts of other people's lives. They think their whole life is like that. They think everything is just picture perfect in their life because that's how they made it for the picture, right? But they start thinking everything is perfect in their life. And then when they look at their life, they think, how come my life isn't like that? How come I have a messy house? How come I have a Camry? How come I have a wife that's always shouting and arguing? How come I have kids that don't listen to me? How come their kids are having such a good time playing outside with their baba and mama? And, how come they have such a good family life? How come I don't? How come? Actually, they don't. They have the same life as you, but they're just posting the best parts the same way you would post the best parts. So it causes you to have a false sense of what's real. And it causes you to become ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Because you think what you have is less and what other people have is better. So it makes you ungrateful. If you look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, this is exactly what he mentions. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا نظر أحدكم إلى من فضل عليه في المال والخلق فلينظر إلى من هو أسفل منه. If any one of you looks at a person who was made superior to them in property and in good appearance, right, in terms of the way they look, then he should also look at the one who is inferior to him, right? And why? The explanation is in the next hadith. انظروا إلى من هو أسفل منكم ولا تنظروا إلى من هو فوقكم فإنه أجدر ألا تزدروا نعمة الله عليكم. Look at one who is lower than you. Do not look at one who is above you. Like in terms of worldly possessions, right? We're not talking about looking down on people like in terms of pride, but we're just talking about in terms of material possessions. For indeed, that is more worthy that you will not belittle Allah's favors upon you. When you see that, oh, he has a better car than you, also look at the fact that many people don't have a car. Many people have like a broken down 1970s, car, right? So when you look at that, you start feeling grateful that you have the car that you have. If you only look at people that have cars better than you will always feel inferior and you will always be ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So time is running short. Inshallah, we'll end there and we can continue this tomorrow. And I still hope to get to the inner dimensions of fasting as per Imam Ghazali, which is what got us into this whole discussion long time back. Please make sure you make dua for this needy slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially tonight and in the next few nights. And remember the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in your du'as. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.